the miraculous aspects of the Qur'an, and the proofs that it is the word of Allah. Knowing the aim of life in this world, and the life of life, to be belief, the tireless and insatiable traveler through the world, who was questioning the universe concerning his sustainer, then said to himself, "Let us refer to the book called the Qur'an of miraculous exposition, which is known as the word and speech of the one we are seeking, and is the most famous, brilliant, dominant book in the world, challenging everyone in every century who does not submit to it. But first, we must prove that it is the book of our Creator." And he started to search. Since the traveler lived at this time, he looked first at the Risale-i-Nur, which consists of flashes of the Quran's miraculousness, and saw that its 130 parts are fine points and lights of the verses of that distinguisher between truth and falsehood, and authentic explanations of them. Although through striving and endeavor the Risale-i-Nur has spread the Quranic truths everywhere, in an age as obstinate and atheistic as this, the fact that no one has opposed it successfully proves that the Quran, which is its master, source, authority, and son, is heavenly and revealed, and not man's word. Only one proof of the Quran out of the hundreds of the Risale-i-Nur, the 25th word together with the last part of the 19th letter, has proved so decisively that the Quran is miraculous in 40 aspects that everyone who has seen them, rather than criticizing or objecting to them, has been full of wonder at their proofs, appreciating and praising them. So referring it to the Risale-i-Nur to prove the Quran's miraculous aspects and its being the word of Allah, the traveler only noted with brief indications several points demonstrating its greatness. First point, just as with all its miracles and all its truths, which are an indication of its veracity, the Quran is a miracle of Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. So too with all his miracles and the evidences of his prophethood and perfections of his knowledge, Muhammad is a miracle of the Quran and a decisive proof that it is the word of Allah. Second point, the Quran caused a transformation in social life in this world in so luminous, happy, and truthful a fashion, and brought about such a revolution in both men's souls and hearts and spirits and minds and in their personal lives, social lives, and political lives, and continued and directed that revolution that every minute for 14 centuries, its 6,666 verses have been recited with deep reverence by the tongues of at least 100 million men, and it has trained men, purified their souls and cleansed their hearts, and has caused spirits to unfold and progress, given direction and light to minds, and vitality and happiness to life. For sure, such a book has no like. It is a wonder, a marvel, a miracle. Third point, the eloquence the Quran has demonstrated from that age till now is illustrated by the following. It caused Labid's daughter to remove from the walls of the Kaaba the famous verses written in gold of the most celebrated poets called the Seven Hanging Poems, and to declare while doing so, beside the verses of the Quran, these no longer have any value. Also, when a Bedouin poet heard the verse, "Therefore expound openly what you are commanded," he bowed down in prostration. When asked if he had become a Muslim, he replied, "No, I was prostrating before the eloquence of this verse." Also, thousands of brilliant scholars and learned literary figures like the geniuses of the science of rhetoric, Abd al-Qadir Jurjani, Sakaki, and Zamakhshari, all reached the conclusion that the Quran's eloquence is beyond man's power. He could not achieve it. Also, although from that time it has continuously issued a challenge provoking conceited and egotistical orators and poets, proclaiming in a way which will sting their pride, produce the like of one single surah, or be resigned to ignominy and ruin in this world and the next. The obdurate orators of that time gave up disputing it verbally, the short way of producing the like of one surah, and chose the way of the war, which was lengthy, and threw their lives and property into peril, thus proving that it was not possible to take the short way. Also, millions of Arabic books are in circulation, written since that time by the Quran's friends through the desire to resemble and imitate it, and by its enemies driven to combat and criticize it, and such works are being written and have improved through the meeting of minds and ideas. But if even the most common man should listen to them, he would declare that none of them have reached it, saying, The Qur'an does not resemble these and is not of their level. It is either lower than all of them or higher. No one in the world, no unbeliever, nor an idiot even, can say that it is lower, which means that the degree of its eloquence is above all of them. One time, a man recited the verse, "All that is in the heavens and the earth extols and glorifies Allah," and said, "I can't see the eloquence in this, although it is considered wonderful." So it was said to him, "You return to that time like the traveler, and then listen to it." So, imagining himself to be there before the Quran was revealed, he saw the beings of the world to be lifeless, without consciousness and duties, wretched and obscure in an unstable, transitory world in the middle of limitless, empty space. Suddenly, listening to this verse from the tongue of the Quran, he saw that it drew back a veil from the universe and face of the world, illuminating it. He saw that this pre-eternal address and eternal decree instructs the conscious beings lined up in the centuries, revealing the universe to be like a huge mosque, and foremost the heavens and the earth, and all beings, to be employed in the glorification and remembrance of Allah, enthusiastically performing their duties with joy and eagerness. He appreciated the degree of eloquence of this verse, and comparing the others to it, understood one of the thousands of instances of wisdom in the recitation of the Quran's eloquence, overspreading half the earth and a fifth of mankind, and being held in utter veneration, perpetuating its sublime sovereignty for 14 centuries without break. Fourth point, the Quran displays an agreeableness so true that for those who recite it, its many repetitions, which are the cause of even the sweetest things being wearied of, do not cause weariness. Rather, for those whose hearts are not corrupted and taste spoilt, the repetitions increase its agreeableness. Since early times, this has been accepted by everyone and become proverbial. Furthermore, it demonstrates such a freshness, youth, and originality that although it has lived for 14 centuries and has been freely available to everyone, it has preserved its freshness as though newly revealed. Each century has seen it to be young, as though it was addressing that century in particular. And although in order to benefit from it all the time, all the branches of scholars have always had copies of it present with them in large numbers, and have followed and emulated its style and manner of expression, it has preserved the originality in its style and manner of exposition exactly. Fifth point, one wing of the Quran is in the past, and one is in the future, and just as its root and one wing are the agreed truths of the former prophets, and it confirms and corroborates them, and they too confirm it with the tongue of unanimity, so too all the true Sufi paths and ways of sainthood, whose fruits, the saints and purified scholars, who receive life from the Quran, show through their vital spiritual progress that their blessed tree is living, effulgent, and the means to truth. They grow and live under the protection of its second wing, and testify that the Quran is pure truth, and the assembly of truths and in its comprehensiveness is a matchless wonder. Sixth point, the Quran's truthfulness and veracity show that its 6 aspects are luminous. Indeed, the pillars of argument and proof beneath it, the flashes of the stamp of miraculousness above it, the gifts of happiness in this world and the next before it, its goal, the truths of heavenly revelation, its point of support behind it, the assent and evidence of innumerable upright minds to its right, and the true tranquility, sincere attraction, and submission of sound hearts and clean consciences on its left, all prove that the Quran is a wondrous, firm, unassailable citadel of both the heavens and the earth. Similarly, the universe's disposer, who has made it his practice to foremost always exhibit beauty in the universe, protect good and right, and eliminate impostors and liars, has set his seal on its being sheer truth and right on 6 levels, and not being man's word, and its containing no error. And by giving it the most acceptable, highest, and most dominant place of respect and degree of success in the world, has confirmed and endorsed the Quran. So too, the one who is the source of Islam and interpreter of the Quran, his believing in it and holding it in greater respect than everyone else, and being in a sleep-like state when it was revealed, and other words and speeches not resembling or coming near it, and that interpreters describing without hesitation and with complete confidence through the Quran true cosmic events of generally the past and the future, from behind the veil of the unseen, and no trickery or fault being observed in him while being under the gazes of the sharpest eyes, and his believing and affirming every pronouncement of the Qur'an with all his strength and nothing shaking him, is a stamp confirming that the Qur'an is revealed and true, and the blessed word of his own compassionate Creator.